warm welcome to DocPoint Helsinki Documentary Film Festival and its 21st edition. My name is Kati Juurus. I'm the artistic director of the festival, and I have the great pleasure of moderating this Q&A today with Lindiwe Matshikiza, who is the director of One Take Grace. And we also have here One Take Grace herself, meaning Mothiba Grace Bapela, who is the protagonist of the film. And this film is, of course, nominated for the DocPoint-elokuvatapahtumat Award for Best International Documentary Film. So a warm welcome to you to DocPoint. And I'm so sorry that we can't have you here in person.
Thank you.
And a great big thanks for an absolutely stunning, for me, a super inspirational, a very unusual portrait film that you have made together, One Take Grace. Before we go to the film, let me just ask you where you are and how you are at the moment.
Well, I'm in Johannesburg and I am well. It's the beginning of the year. It's the end of what for us would be like your summer holidays. So adjusting to the world of work and enjoying the weather and all those kind of things. That's how I am.
Sounds good. And Grace?
I'm in Polokwane, Limpopo, in South Africa. I'm well and I'm happy, and I'm just looking forward for the beginning of the year. Lindiwe and I, we want to shine. 2022.
You do shine already. Grace, are you living the life that you want to live? As you were saying towards the end of the film, you were saying that now I'm going to start living the life that I want to live. So is that what you're doing now?
That's what I'm doing now because, as I mentioned it, you mentioned good. My story has been told. Now is my time to live the life I want to live.
Getting to the story that you told together, I'd love to know how you two first got to know each other. How did you meet, and how did this idea of making a film together, how did that come about?
We met on a film set. I'm also, or maybe used to be, an actor, and we were co-stars. Well, we played in the same scenes together. Neither of us were stars. Let's put it that way. And we just started chatting behind the scenes in the makeup room. And I was very taken with what Mam Grace was already hinting and learned through her life as both a freelance actor and a domestic worker. It struck me as a very peculiar combination of careers. And she also expressed that, you know, she has a lot more to tell and that she would love.
You froze. So Grace, please, while she gets the connection back, why don't you tell us how you remember the first meeting?
As Lindiwe already mentioned it, we were playing on the set, same film and same family. I was her housekeeper, and she was wearing the wigs, the nails, and she was my boss lady. Her and her husband, they employed me, and Lindiwe dying, you know, certainly in the film. But to me, when we on the back set, like makeup room, I started talking to Lindiwe. And the reason why I was talking, I was trying to get a closure because I wanted someone to listen to me. And
she did.
Yes, and at the time she just listened. You know, she didn't respond to that, but I could see that she's listening. So we keep going to set. They pick me up in the morning, and they drop me off. They first pick her first, and then they come to me. And she said to me, "Ma, do you mind if I come and visit?" And I said to her, I don't know, because I live in the back room. Because into her, although she said it wasn't like that, I just see this young, beautiful, talented woman. And when I look at myself as a housekeeper, she could not be my visitor. At the first time when I say, you know what, I live in the back room and you can't come to me. And she said, no, I don't mind. I will come if you allow me. And I said to her, okay, let me know when you come. And she said, okay. And she did that after we finished our film. She called, she said, Ma, can I stop by? I said, yes, you can. And she came. For the first time, I didn't even know what I was going to give her, because in our culture, when somebody come to visit, you need to offer some, some food, some drinks. And it's not that I had that kind of food. And I thought she was that person who cannot eat what I'm eating. I remember I made it a small bread, homemade bread. And she was so happy to have that homemade bread. And we start talking. And while we're talking, Lindiwe said to me, Ma, what do you think of us making a film? And I said, a film? Me? And she said, yes. And I said, I'm not sure about this. Because for me, I look at myself, as I said, she keeps saying I said that. I said, this young person, she's so beautiful. And me, look at me. I'm just a housekeeper. How do I do a film? And she said, no. You know what, Ma? Let's just think about it, and then we'll see what it takes us. And at the time I stuck, I couldn't give her a right answer, but we were cast again together as a mother and daughter in a film. So that's where she started again. She said, Ma, have you think about what I said to you? I said, okay, come and let's see what we're going to do. So she came to me, and then she said to me, whenever you've got audition, just let me know. I'll try to come and see what you do in your work. I'll follow you at work. I'll come and follow you around the house. You need to speak to your boss if they can allow us. And the first time they said yes, and the second time they said no. And that's where I came up with the idea that, okay, if Lindiwe cannot come here, then I'm leaving my job. I'm going somewhere else. And they said, okay,
wow.
she can come. Yeah, no, because she said, you remember, you agree. She said, you can come. And the next thing she said, no, you can't.
Wow.
I realized that if she cannot come, so I have to come up with a plan. And I said, the plan was to leave. And she said, okay, she can come. So that's where we filmed that house, because we had a permission to film the house.
I thought that maybe that was the time when you came up with the idea that let's have the little fisheye camera attached to you, which is in the beginning of the film, which is of course super powerful and a really nice way of expressing.
She came up with so that I can put that on my neck and then do some work. So that's how we started.
So it started. Go ahead.
I was just going to say about that camera. I'd been seeing this little GoPro around, surfers, extreme sports kind of use them. And I was really taken with how small and light and portable it is. And you really don't have to have any knowledge about how to use a camera. Everything's always in focus. And a friend of mine had pointed out that we didn't yet have any footage of Mom Grace actually doing her day-to-day domestic work.
Yeah.
And so this was a way to do it without going with a crew or even just me and being kind of like fly on the wall. So that's when we devised that thing around her neck. And then it turned out that there was a lot on that camera just purely because you wore it all day long. It became part of everything that you were doing. So it features quite a lot in the film.
It features very much. And of course, it also features, because I love the sound design in the film. And on this footage, you also have the humming, the sound of your body and your humming, and it gets so close to you that it makes it so intimate and lovely that it was a wonderful idea, really. So it sounds like it sort of became as a very sort of organic process. You basically, Lindiwe came up with the idea and then you just started making it. The film that you finally now have made and that we have seen, did you have something like this in mind when you started, or is this a film that you were going to make, or how did it develop on the way?
You know, for me, I think that the main exercise was to be in process with each other. I know that I said film, but I never really understood what that meant, I think, until maybe last year. For me, the value was in us getting to know each other. It was in documenting this person's life. It was in what we were giving each other through the 10 years of being in this process together. So it became about a lot more than trying to create a film. It became about also building this relationship and getting to know each other and exchanging and kind of mentoring each other and also helping each other survive a very difficult industry. So when Mom Grace is talking about going to set with her, it was as much about transportation as it was about being able to document that moment. Wow. And I think because we both come from the acting space, there was some kind of unspoken understanding that this industry is not particularly friendly to women, to people who don't have their own transport, to mothers, to people who don't have enough money to get from A to B. These are all things that we understood without having to discuss them. And so it was as much about kind of colluding with each other to thwart the idea of who's telling a story and who's leading and who's producing it, right, as it was about making an actual film.
And you have also made it very clear and visible that both of you share a lot of roles in the process of filmmaking. You are co-writers, both of you have been shooting for it, and it's right, also visible on the film that it's very much of a process that has been developed between you two. But still, I would like to ask you, Lindiwe, because my understanding is that you still sort of are you have the director's eye and touch in the process, and it's your first film. It's you're a first-time filmmaker, and at the same time, for me, it's a very bold film. You have a lot of courage in using all the possible means of cinematic expression that there are, and you just put it all together and make this very, very sort of unique and personal and different kind of a film that we've seen. It's artistic and it's yeah. So I'd like to ask, like, where did you find this courage to sort of make such a unique and different kind of a film? How could you do it?
Well, thank you. That's a very generous response. I was thinking as you're speaking that I feel like we have nothing to lose. I feel like we have had nothing to lose. We have gained so much through this process together. I have certainly gained so much. I also have been really privileged to work with friends who are experienced filmmakers and who came with such trust and love and belief as well, and made it possible to have all these things live in the same space, even when I, as a director, didn't know how that was going to come together. And even when we were now at IDFA in Amsterdam, it was really, the big achievement is that we actually finished the film. And I feel like that's quite a good place to be, because anything that happens from now is like bonus.
Wow.
I think maybe also I'm not a full-time filmmaker. I'm like a multi-practice artist. So I have lots of projects all the time, and maybe in that you become quite comfortable with experimenting and failure. And so I'm aware also that I'm as a film director not reliant on this one project to really continue a career in film. It's one of many expressions of like creative practice and collaboration that I enjoy doing.
It's interesting. It's like you didn't have to respect the rules or please anyone because you were not from the film industry. So you could do exactly what you wanted, and it shows, and it's wonderful. I suppose. And Grace, because I have a feeling that in a way you became art, your life became art through this film. So how does that feel?
Yo,
it's a big question.
Yeah.
It is. For me, it's a processing because when we started this film, as already Lindiwe mentioned, it that we didn't even know what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Because for me it was just like, as long as I told my story, but it came to this past 10 years, we didn't even know that it was gonna happen. As I said, it's a processing. We were robbed, we were hijacking, Lindiwe, I think 2 or 3 times they break in and took that material. So we left with nothing.
Yeah.
So she came to me, she said, Ma, they broke my flat and they took all the work that we have done. And I said, okay, I've got some work on my laptop, so we can use that one. And the minute I spoke to her, I was traveling to come home, I was hijacked. So they took my laptop with that work. And I called her, I said, Lini, I call her Lini. I said, Lini, I'm sorry, I have been hijacked and they took that laptop that I told you that there was some of the work, it was there. So we back to square one, we have nothing.
When did this happen? At what point of the production?
Early, in the first year.
The first year, yeah, our first year when we were working. All this happened in the first year. But as I said, she's a very good listener. She's a talented, and she said to me, Ma, let's keep going. I'll go to the friend, I'll borrow some equipment because they took my equipment, then we'll see. Then we go back, we start working again. So we just keep doing what we were doing. If I go to Polokwane, she came with me. We traveled to my hometown to the graduation of the kids.
Yeah.
She came with me to follow me around at my house. As you can see, she didn't send anyone, she came. So all the way we were just together doing what we were doing. And as I said, it's a processing because finally, it happened because for me, there was a time, 2016, I thought that it was not going to happen. That's when I was diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. So I told her that, Lini, I don't want to see you anymore because you can see that I'm dying. At the time of chemo, I thought I was not gonna make it. And I said to her, Lini, this is too much. You're pregnant, I'm dying. These two things are not clicking together. But all I can say today, I thank God that Lindy and I, we stick together, we cry. If you can, that moment, it's a pity she didn't film that moment, because we were both sobbing, crying, that, you know, there's a lot going on in our lives. And now I don't even know that, I told her that I don't even think that my story will ever be told. But today, I feel like the heavy weight, it's lifted on my shoulder. Because when I look into her eyes, you know, when we at the stage, she said to me, "You've forgotten to mention that the film has completed." And that was, you know, that moment, it was the moment that I never thought I'll be on that moment. It's the film is touching. For me, the pain, every time when I see the film, it takes me back to my life.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to every detail that really, is this me? It's me, Grace. And if you could see the moment when they were announcing that the winner is one take, I look at back where Lindy was, and I don't even think she saw that moment when I was pulling her hand, that come, let's go. And to be on that stage.
You're talking about IDFA now, right?
Yes, it was like really, the film is been completed. And we did it together. We did great work. Because when you look into the people watching you, it's like you ask yourself, really, is that me? Is that all the work that we've been doing for 10 years?
Yeah.
In a way,
And
I think it's I think it's quite astounding. Like, I'm trying to imagine if I would have allowed someone to study me for 10 years and really like analyze and look and be like looking at my face and my body and thinking about stories, not just the stories, but how the stories are being told.
Exactly.
I don't think everyone has that ability, you know? So the access to you, Ma, is like, I think the maybe the strongest part is that you really, and that's based on our relationship, right?
Yeah.
If it had been a big crew, or if we hadn't had all these also intimate life moments, I'm not sure it would have been the same portrait would have emerged.
Yeah.
You know?
But I want to also ask you about, because I mean, it's an artistic film and it's an experimental film and so forth, but it's also a very, very political film for me. So I was wondering if that's also something that is intentional. I guess, of course it is. I mean, it's about class very much. It's about race. It's about apartheid and apartheid's legacy. It's about women's position in South African society and your place and space in the society, being very feministic film. So I suppose you wanted to make a political film out of it also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are questions that we're occupied with.
Yeah.
And not only apartheid, it's before apartheid, it's colonialism, it's everything that came before colonialism. It's certain kinds of transformation that haven't happened.
Yes.
it's the way that someone like Mom Grace, who at this point in her life should be resting and taken care of and living a new chapter of her life. It's why is this person, why are so many people of that age and race and class behind the scenes, servicing other people's dreams, propping up the progression of others. So yes, absolutely, that's a core political question for me, and that's why it was important in both process, in both methodology and result, that those things can be read and felt.
Yes, and they are very strongly. So how has it been received in South Africa? And do you think it is possible to have an impact to something with this film?
We haven't had our South African premiere yet, actually.
You haven't?
This is the funny thing about the timing of film festivals and when things happen and don't happen. So we're looking forward to that, fingers crossed, because I really, that's, obviously it's great to have responses from all over the world, but it really is, Marcelo, who did the translations and who was our language consultant, she mentioned how it's such a Joburg film. It's really, it's about the way that we live in Johannesburg and the walls that we create and the security and all of it. So it's going to be really exciting this year when it becomes screened more and more to start having those conversations. And I hope that they'll be rich and challenging and yeah.
Yes, and I look forward to, I want to know how it goes there, and it will be very interesting to follow up the response there. Do you hope that it will have some kind of an impact, a direct impact on things?
For sure. I mean, all along, many of the conversations that were really tough to have between me and Mom Grace were the treatment, you know, because, you know, the work is work. It can be work. It's, you know, it's not bad. The work itself is not bad, but the conditions, the circumstances, the exploitation, the chances taken on someone's life within that kind of work is really problematic. And so that's why also, even in the script, this you, speaking to the you, is meant to take in me,
Yes.
my greater self, you,
Yes.
employers, former employers, children, future selves, all of it, because there's something about us all being involved in this particular kind of exploitation and not recognizing of the importance and the value of this, the domestic arts, we could say, and mothering and all these things. So yeah, absolutely. I hope it will have impact. I hope that some of those former employers will watch it and read themselves in that. That's one of my big hopes.
I so hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very important also, I mean, from that perspective, I think in your country, but also everywhere else. I mean, these are questions that are universal, obviously. I mean, even in the North. And yeah, so thanks for pointing that out and so forth. I think we don't have much time. So just quickly, Grace, how is the Center of Cancer Survivors doing? And Lindiwe, are you going to make another film? Please do. So
we have 30 seconds each, something like that. Okay.
The organization is doing very well, thanks to people who were involved with the fund and to help us out. I'm going to put that out. I just finished to do the fence and the buckler. It's so beautiful, but we're still playing out there with the funding because I love what I'm doing now. People love the home and I love to spend my time with them.
Wonderful. Lindiwe, the next project.
Yes, definitely. I have at least 2 films, I think, in me. Another documentary also about family. Hopefully that will manifest itself. And then hopefully some fiction after that. But yeah, yes.
thank you both. I would so love to continue this talk. It's lovely to meet you, even if it's online. Thank you so much for doing this conversation with us, and thank you for this marvelous film. All the best for it, and let's hope that it will be a wonderful success in South Africa as well. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Kati.
you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.